Hello, everybody. This is Alia Jamal, the love coach, and we are meeting for another love circle. And today we are talking about emotions. I think January is the best time to talk about emotions because most of us are feeling stressed out, anxious for the year, and we just want to do, and there's not enough time. Some of us are already in that mindset. So let's learn how to calm ourselves down, how to understand our emotions on a deeper level so we can create a different kind of year this year. Okay, so before we get into anything, let's just ask ourselves, how often do we even check in with ourselves and become aware, how am I feeling emotionally? We all know when we are feeling tired, when we are feeling exhausted, when we are sleepy, when we are hungry. But do you really check in with yourself how you are feeling emotionally? Are you feeling sad? Are you feeling happy? Do we even take time to acknowledge what we are feeling? That is where, like, this whole thing starts. If I don't even know right now I'm feeling sad because I am in a habit of putting a smile on and just showing up in front of people, and that is the persona I want to show everybody, then I never get to do the work on my emotions. And if I don't get to do the work on my emotions, I cannot really share my light fully with the world, because that is going to be my authentic self. And our light comes only from our authentic self. Otherwise, I can do all kind of stuff. I can do this business, that business. I can do this work or that work. But whenever I would be willing and ready to do my soul's work, I will have to connect with my emotions and become the authentic self. That's why this topic is so important. And most of us women, we feel like we are too emotional, or society tells us we are emotional creatures. And apparently, as if men are not, emotions are part of your physical experience. If you are in a human body, you are going to have emotions. Now it's up to you if you're going to bury them or if you are going to live with them and experience them and embrace them. So we all have been in a place where we did bury our emotion, or we disconnected from them because they were too much, and you can't really bring them to workplace, or you can't really bring them to your family because your family is emotionally disconnected. We all have been that place, and we all have learned lessons being in that place. Now we want to learn, how do I get to connect with my emotions? How do I create a relationship with them? How do I even understand them? Why they are even here? So just to start, what is emotion? Emotion is just energy in motion. And I know this is one of the modern terminology that has come across, but I want to show you guys. Let me just grab my marker. Thought I was already outside. It comes from a lineage. So till I get my perfect drawing board again, this would be our drawing board. Here's your body, right? I hope you can see it. Yeah, you can see it better from here. There's a etheric body around you. Think of it that this is the vibration coming off of your cells. Every single cell of your body has its own electromagnetic field. Collectively, etheric body. When I do pranic healing or energy healing on someone, I am working on their etheric body. I also work on their emotion body. This is where I'm clearing every single emotion, balancing the emotion body, balancing the chakras, and also clearing emotional energy, different emotions, whatever we are trying to shift from every single cell of their body. But there's also etheric body. Mental body. That's the last one. I'm not going to talk about it, but that does houses all your thoughts. We are only going to focus on emotion body. So when we are thinking something, when there is a trigger in our environment, when things start to move within us and we are experiencing an emotion, it could be elation, it could be excitement, it could be joy, it could be happiness, or it could be sadness, guilt, shame, anger. The energy in the emotion body is moving. So when that energy is moving, it's emotion. And another thing that I want to mention right here while we got this board thingy going on is think of your natural way of being like a straight line. So this is like, think of 2, 3 year old happily playing in the playground. That is a natural state of a human being. I know we all adult, we are so used to being stressed all the time, afraid all the time, worried all the time, that we're like, seriously, that is my natural way of being? I have never felt that. Well, that is our work to do. But this is your natural way of being. Whenever you go far from it, how far you go from that natural way of being is going to be the extreme of the emotion. Let's say if I'm a little bit away from it, maybe I'm just feeling uncomfortable. But if I'm very far from it, I could be depressed. Because what's happening? I'm going away from my energy source. I'm going away from who I naturally, easily am. The farther I go, the extreme and the lower the emotion I'm going to experience. So whoever started saying emotion is energy in motion, they are talking about it is literally moving away from who you are. And also, there is a movement in your energy body whenever we are experiencing any kind of emotion. Emotion is what add to our human experience. It's like that delicious sauce that adds to our human experience, that when we are out of this physical body, we don't have that piece to it. That's why we decided to come into this physical body and actually experience a variety of emotions that we go through. When we are disconnected from these truths, then we start looking at our life as good or bad. I'm lucky or I'm unlucky. My life is, successful or not successful. And then we attach specific emotions to them. But they are here to guide us. If you're feeling sad, you're far away from your center, that means what happened? How can you get back? And when you learn what happened, how you come back, you become closer and more connected to the soul that lives within. It's development. And people who are like, at the height of their development, they stay very neutral most of the time. They stay in that sense of peace and love all the time. Something small happened, something big happened. They are not budging from there because they have achieved that level of development within them. They have learned how to master the pieces that are within them, that they can stay there. And that is something I will show you, and that is we all aim for. One of the things that really starts this energy to move is a trigger. Nobody is just sitting there and they were fine and now all of a sudden they are angry. Something happens in your environment. Maybe a fragrance, maybe a food that you saw or you heard. A trigger happens always outside of you that triggers some movement over here. So if it's a smell, you're smelling something, it could be a smell from a time when you feel so happy and it was such a beautiful moment. So you go into that memory and now you're reliving that joy and excitement of that memory. So what's happening? A very specific movement is happening in your energy body, in the emotional aspect of it, and you're feeling it. Your brain chemistry is changing. Now, if something of a sad nature, you hear a song that used to be your and your ex's song, and now you guys are not together. So it starts to make you feel sad, and your mind starts going into why me, it didn't work out for me, and the next thing you know, you're maybe even crying. Or did it happen to you sometime like this? You thought of something because let's say you're driving and then you thought of something because you saw something, but you have no idea where the trigger come from. And now you're just thinking about all the things that could go wrong. Maybe you could die in this car accident right now. And then what's going to happen to your family, how they're going to live without you. And the next thing you know, you're crying. So that is what our mind does when it is not in control. But when you experience those extreme emotions, your body's just telling you, that is your body's way of communicating, hey, we are away from home. Let's get back to a natural way of being. But when we have not been in our natural state for the longest time, we don't even know where to start. We don't even know how to come back. Most of us in this day and age, the problem we are facing is how to process our emotions, how to even feel our emotions. It's a real problem going on. We have stayed so disconnected from our emotions because of the external pressure of chasing success that we have just put our emotions to side. Think about it. If you're in college and no matter what you go through, you need to pass that exam so you can graduate. It doesn't matter what's going on in your personal life, in your home, or in your love life. It doesn't matter. You need to put your emotions in a box, put them away, and just focus on this. And same thing happened at workplace. I have showed to workplace so broken into a million pieces, but had to just hold it all in for the 8 hours that I'm there. And that suppressed energy, it goes somewhere. That is the energy that creates all kind of diseases. So somebody having high blood pressure, diabetes, even if it runs in their family, in their 30s, is not normal human condition. When we are used to suppressing stuff, it creates all kind of diseases because that is energy that is not moving. Imagine if you take spoiled food and you put it under the rug. What's going to happen? Mold. More problems would happen. More cleanup would need to happen. So if you are in a habit of shoving everything under the rug, this part is for you. Because what we want to do, we want to understand what our emotions are. It's moving energy that gets triggered from outside and how to process them so we are not having those ticking bombs going on in our energy body that over time can create all kind of diseases. One of the two very common diseases or parts of our body that I come across in my work. One is problem with the reproductive system. So it could be fibroids, PCOS, it could be a very painful period, endometriosis. That is tied to the sex chakra. That is tied to the emotion of unprocessed guilt that was attached with sexuality or with creativity from a very young age. It could be the person was sexually molested, abused, whether it's one time or for a long period of time, they didn't share with anybody, or they wanted to become a creative person, but they were like, no, you need to be an accountant or a doctor. Not saying those two professions are not creative. Or they just carry general guilt around sex because the religion they come from, it's bad and they should stay away from it and it is a sin, and they carry that even if they have never done anything wrong. So what that stuck energy that is not properly moving, guilt is stagnating that area, stops providing energy to our reproductive system, and now we are suffering with all these hormonal issues that you're just going to take more pill to solve, and then it's a never ending battle when we go to hormonal therapy. And then the second one that I see, which is way more common, are the problems of GI tract. So take it from ulcer to SIBO to IBS. It comes from imbalance in solar plexus chakra. So when we are stressed, when we are in fear mode, when we are in worry, when we are anxious, and we are not addressing, why am I feeling this thing? When we just move from one day to the next day, just pushing it, we all know what it means to just push through life. We're just pushing it over time. Our solar plexus chakra is so overactive, so overextended that it's like a motor that's moving and it's not able to catch up. So now there's a depletion of energy to all the internal organs in GI tract. They are not getting the energy to heal because it's being used to manage that movement of stress, which we are not addressing why it exists in the first place. So that is how it really impacts. So we want to understand our emotion, why they're there, and we want to process them. So I want to start with this chart in this book, Power versus Force by David Hawkins. And on page 319, he has this beautiful, beautiful map of consciousness. We are not going to use all the parts. We are just going to use the emotions and we are going to look at the vibration. So there's these emotions and then there is this vibration. Because every emotion that you experience, it has a vibration associated with it, just like we study in physics, there's a frequency to it. So when we are in guilt, we are at 30. When we are in shame, we are at 20. So if somebody has guilt and shame as a baggage that they are carrying unconsciously, they could pretend all they want. They can get high, they can get drunk, and they can become this jolly self. They can use humor to lighten up the room. But deep down, there's something that's pulling at them, and there's a very deep, weird sadness and guilt and shame, icky feeling following them all day long. And it shows up when they're about to go to sleep. That is when it all hits them. In the day, we can put all kind of masks and we can pretend whoever we want to be, but the truth comes when we are about to go to sleep and we are all alone. Now I want to talk about fear. Fear is at 100. That's why in my work I work on guilt and shame first before we start to tackle the fear. Now if you feel anger is 150. Now slowly we are moving upward. So let's say we get to courage. Courage is 200. Courage is when someone is about to be like, I can shift this. I can do something else, even if they are afraid to step into it. So they're right at 200. When someone is in acceptance, when I can accept myself just the way I am, that's 350. So what is happening? My emotional body, my emotional energy body is vibrating at 350 now. When I'm in love, and that love does not have to be emotion of love, this is actually could be energy of love. Let's say if I look at a flower and I'm like, oh my God, I love this flower is beautiful, that is 500. And peace is 600. Enlightenment, if you're aiming for it, me personally am, that is 700 to 1,000. Our goal is, as a human in our human experience, to be able to get to peace, love, joy. If we can get to just love, wonderful. If we can get to peace, even amazing, 700. Now, how does your day go when you are in peace? We all have experienced those days. And how does your day go when you're in fear or anger? We all have experienced those days too. When we are in a lower vibration, it seems like everything is going just downhill. When we are in a higher vibration, we start to experience beautiful synchronicities in our experience because we are a vibrational being. And our emotion is just telling us how far off I am from my center, which is peace and love, how far off I am. If this is 600, am I at 20 or am I at 200 or am I at 150? That's all it's telling us. Now, how do we come back home? How do we process that? That is the work. So let's get into how do we process it. We are going to process it on 3 different levels. It will be physical, psychological, which is the most important, and energetical. And I'll be sharing some tips and tricks with you how to process the energetical aspect of it. In terms of physical, so when we are experiencing an emotion, there's energy that's moving, there's a physical reaction that is happening, and then there's some thoughts going on too. When I am feeling angry, my brain chemistry is going to be very different than when I am feeling peace. So first, I want to do something physically to shift my brain chemistry. And we can do that. If I am angry, the best would be leave the room. If I am sad, the best would be get out of the house. Change of scenery, change of environment. That's why when we feel depressed, we don't feel like leaving our room. We don't feel like leaving our bed. And what is the solution that your counselor, your therapist, your friend, your mom, everybody would tell you? Get out of the room. Physical movement. That's why exercise is so important. If we are exercising, we are staying on top of whatever stress that is being created. We are consciously changing our biochemistry, our brain chemistry and our muscle chemistry and all the chemicals that goes on in our body. We are shifting that. So let's say if something happens sudden, or this is just a way of being. Let's say you're just a very sad person all the time, or you are angry all the time. In my past life, I used to be a very sad person all the time. Nobody could tell it to my face from my face because there was always a beautiful smile on my face, but I used to be a very sad person all the time. And I used to be very disconnected from people too. I barely had any friends. I had no social life. I had no personal life. The only thing I did was study and work. So that shows how sad that life would be because other aspects of life are not being shared. And the reason there was that was staying, there was no physical movement. There was walking, but there were no exercise. But that walking was like, running from this point to the other, going to school, going to work. And that is more of a stressful activity than exercise. So whatever your current way of being is, if it's not peace or love, creating a change in it. Start exercising. If you're somebody who gets angry a lot at your kids or yourself or your partner, when you're angry, sit down, lay down, leave the room, go drink water, take 5 deep breaths, take 1 deep breath. Even 1 deep breath can move energy. What we don't realize, we have an instrument right here that can change our body chemistry in less than a second. When you inhale, you're literally bringing life force within you. New life force is coming. Whatever is going on in your energy body has to change. And when you exhale through your mouth, especially, you're releasing that negative energy. That whatever doesn't belong to you, you're releasing that. But also physically, you have shifted your body. You have also activated your parasympathetic nervous system with a deep breath. And parasympathetic nervous system is a way of being of peace and joy or love, but it is definitely calm. It's not anger. So you can take 10 deep breaths. That's what I personally recommend. I practice too, just taking 10 deep breaths whenever an extreme emotion is taking over. Those are the physical changes you can do. They could become part of your life. If you're somebody who exercise every single day, and if you are, if you do have a breathing practice or you have a meditation practice, you might have noticed that ever since you had that, you don't go like all up and down. You go a little bit and then you can very easily come to your center because your body has been trained to think that way. Your brain chemistry, your physical chemistry has changed over time, so you can come back very quickly. I've been meditating myself since 2019. I go like maximum maybe 3 days without meditation. And sometimes I meditate more than one time in the day. And I notice a huge difference in my emotions, in my emotional well-being, how fast I will get angry, I will get sad, but how fast I come back to my center has definitely improved. So highly recommend that. But the biggest change happens when we process it psychologically, because emotion is movement of energy, but where did it start? What is the knock that started this domino effect? The emotion itself is just a domino effect, the energy just going like this. But what is the blow that started this domino effect? That secret lives in our psychology. So let's say if you're at work, you're so angry or you're so anxious, put your hand up, do deep breathing, go to the bathroom, drink water, do movement, come back to your center. But when you do get chance, when you get home, before you go to bed that day, don't go to bed without resolving your emotions. Highly recommend that. The next day, they're just going to be buried under a pile of a lot of other stuff. If you did have an emotionally charged day, don't go to sleep without processing it psychologically. So what is the question we want to start with? There are three questions I'll be sharing with you. The first one is, what is it that I'm feeling? Let's say you just got anxious or you got angry and you have moment right now. What is it that I'm feeling? You'll be surprised, most of the time we don't even know how to label our emotion. Am I feeling sad or am I feeling self-pity? Is there a difference? Yes, there is a difference. But if you don't connect with all parts, we don't even know what is the difference. Am I feeling shame? Am I feeling guilt? Yes, there is a difference. Am I angry at the other person or am I angry at myself? That makes the difference. If you do want to develop yourself in a way that you can process your emotions as they come at you, get into a habit of checking in with yourself. What am I feeling right now? Just labeling it, just being aware of it. We sometimes, especially with positive psychology, amazing, wonderful. Our desire to be a better version, sometimes we just start to fool ourselves by saying, I am happy all the time. If we are happy all the time, we all would be robots. We would be just set on one setting, but we are human. We go like this. We can just come back to our center a little faster. So getting into a habit where you ask yourself consistently, what am I feeling? And now the second question would be, why am I feeling this? This is where you get to dig deeper. What happened? What happened that I am feeling like this? And you will find somewhere in there a story. I'm feeling like this because I was not invited. I'm feeling like this because that person looked at me that way. There's a whole story there. And that story is tied to your own internal belief system, unconscious belief system, your paradigm that you live with, that is your blueprint that you live with, that you can change at any time. But if you're feeling that emotion, the story is coming from that place. That's why it's a very familiar emotion that you're feeling. People who generally feel sad. People who generally feel angry, they feel angry. People who generally feel depressed, they feel depressed. And depression, by the way, is suppressed anger. And when we have not addressed our anger for a very long time, it does turn into depression, and anxiety is suppressed fear. When we have not addressed our fear for the longest time, we have not sat with it, it becomes an anxious feeling all the time. The third question you can ask yourself, what is it I am focusing on? So in that whole story, you'll find this one focal point. Why this happened, or this person did this to me. And somewhere there you'll find there's something wrong with me, I'm not enough, or they don't like me. We can go into all that rabbit hole, but you'll find a focus point and you can switch that focus point by asking another question. Is that true? Now, if you think that somebody didn't invite you to a party and that is what make you sad or angry, and you're saying the reason they didn't invited me, we all have a story about other people in our head that perfectly makes sense to us, that the reason they didn't invite me because maybe I'm not good enough for their crowd. Is that true? That's why we say don't believe everything that your mind tells you. Don't believe every thought. That is why there's this question, is that true? We really want to get to a place where we can understand this whole thing that was cooked up by our brain to validate the core wound that we have. There's no reality to it. So this emotion was just telling us, hey, you're getting so far off from your center, following a lie. If you're so far from your center, you're in sadness. If you're a little bit far, you're in anger. We need to come closer to the center by focusing on what is true. The truth is you're always complete. The truth is, even if no one ever invite you or want to be your friend, you're still complete. You're still pure light. That is the truth. Even if you think today is end of the world because somebody's leaving you, or you lost your job, or you got into a car accident, you're still complete. You're human. You're one of the highest creation ever created. You can recreate something else. If whatever you think you had today is falling apart, tomorrow you can recreate something else. That is your truth. And make sure, my friend, you process your emotion this way. You come back to your center before you go to bed. And now the last aspect, I know we are getting a little over time. The last aspect of processing your emotion is getting hold of your energy body. So this is that cheat sheet tool that you can use in the moment to get through the moment, and go home, and whenever you get chance, do this homework of psychological processing. So what energy processing would be, energy body has a very specific anatomy to it. And for those of us who are healers, we have studied it, that is what we do. There's this chakra called Ajna chakra. This is also called master chakra. You can actually tell this chakra to do stuff for your energy body. And when I do healing on my clients at the end, I talk to this chakra, I give it very specific instructions, and I see a lot of stuff happen. That is how amazing we are. And then there's solar plexus chakra right here. That is your emotion center. Whenever there's an upheaval going in your energy body, in your emotional energy body, it is coming from here. So if you're feeling whatever end of the lowest emotion, of course, if we are feeling peace, you don't want to change peace to sadness. You want to stay in peace. If you're feeling any of the lower vibrational emotion and you want to feel better, let's say it's anger, or it's anxiety, or it's fear, or it's worry, this one is getting out of control. So this one needs to tell this one, come back. Or if you made this one bigger, this one will come back on its own. Our energy body is just so cool. I absolutely love studying it a little bit more than physical body sometime. So what we are going to do, we are going to put our finger here. Your finger has a tiny electromagnetic field. This is an electromagnetic field. It's getting bigger. We're going to put one over here. And we are going to make the intention, we are balancing the two, and we are going to take 3 deep breaths. What the breath is life force. You're pulling in the life force, and you're going to use that energy to balance this. When I work on somebody, I use either my hand or a crystal to do that, to pull in the life force. I'm not breathing on people, but you can breathe on yourself. So putting 2 fingers here, 3 deep breaths. I'm not really taking deep breaths, but you definitely take deeper breaths than this. If you're at work, if you're in the middle of a party somewhere and you're just feeling out, you can do this and you can come back to your center for the moment. Just for the time being, your energy body would calm down. It will get balanced, but you have to process what happened. Otherwise, you'll be creating all kind of diseases within you. Now, this technique itself, I can swear by it. Tried and tested when I had a panic attack on the highway in August of 2021. I did not stop the car. My whole body was shaking, all kind of stuff was happening. I didn't do it. Of course, one hand had to stay on the steering. I put here, I put here. I also activated my heart. That's how I was able to balance my energy, stay on the road, get home, and then do the rest. It is such a powerful technique. By the way, I don't recommend anyone driving while they're having a panic attack. Stop the car and get help. I was able to do it because I live, breathe this stuff. I knew I got this in control. So I don't recommend that. Another thing that you can do is, which is so powerful, is emotional transformation. So what it is, you take out the energy of the emotion that you're feeling and you transform it to whatever is necessary for the highest good. Now, this, I would say, use it for small or some big triggers, whatever is going on in your life. So let's say, this is how we're going to use it. Let's say something happened this morning and I got so angry. And then, I did the psychological. I was like, okay, why are you feeling? What's the story? What's going on? And then it's still there, still bubbling within me. It's not leaving me. So again, I don't want to carry it to the next day. What I'm going to do, I'm going to sit with myself and I'm going to ask myself, okay, where in my body I feel this energy? It's always below shoulders. So that is where you have to connect with your body. I personally feel a lot of stuff here or in my stomach. You could be feeling it in your legs. So let's say I'm feeling it over here. So I'm going to pull out this energy. I suggest do it with your eyes closed. And I'm holding in my right hand. I'm going to open my right hand and I'm going to connect with this energy. I'm going to ask myself what object it is, what color it is, what taste it is. And I already know that it's anger because I started with that. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to put it in between two electromagnetic fields, my palm chakras. I'm going to put it there and I'm going to transform this energy to what it needs to transform to according to my higher self. So I'm letting my soul decide what is more appropriate for me to feel right now instead of anger. And you'll be surprised every time you'll get to either love or peace, because those are the natural way of being for your soul. That is the natural vibration of your soul. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to keep rubbing it. I'm going to keep rubbing it, rubbing. And I'm going to look for a change in my body. Like all of a sudden, my body is going to go from stiff to a little relaxed. So I'm looking for that change in my body. Let's say it happens now because I don't have an emotion that I'm working with. So let's say it just happens now. I'm going to open my hand. And now again, I'm going to connect with what the object look like, what smell it is, and what emotion it is. And then I'm going to just put it back in. I'm going to take a deep breath and I'm going to let that energy move into my whole body. And now I have gone from that leftover anger. I have transformed the energy by myself. And now I'm at peace or love or joy right now. And I can go back and I can talk to the person, whoever triggered me to begin with. This is a technique you can use at your family gathering, after a fight with your spouse, something that happened at work. You're about to go into a meeting and you're feeling so nervous, you're feeling so anxious, you're feeling so fearful, stressful, whatever it is, you can transform it in the moment. We are that powerful. We can take control of what is going on with our emotions, understand their message, and be able to transform that so we come back to our center. So that is all for today. We went a little bit over time. If this is something you want to go deeper into, whether it's depression, whether it's anxiety, whether it's that shame and guilt that we make our friends, or you are afraid about everything in the world, if any of that sounds familiar and you're ready to do the work and start living as your soul's natural way of being, which is peace and love, you can reach out to me, DM me, and if you're watching it on YouTube, you can go to my website, aliajamalcoaching.com, and you book a consultation, and I would love to be your guide on this journey of you coming back home. That is all for today. I'll see you all next Thursday, sending you so much love. Bye.